Your thoughts are not facts. They're impulses, sparks, static noise. But you treat them like commands. Every time a thought enters your mind, you react. You chase it. You analyze it. You believe it. And that's the problem. That's why you feel anxious. That's why you feel weak. Because your thoughts run your life, and you don't even realize it. You've become a slave to the voice in your head. The one that says, you're not good enough. The one that says, you'll fail. The one that says, what will people think? That voice doesn't care about your growth. It only cares about your comfort. And if you keep obeying it, you'll live your entire life inside the prison of your own mind. Let's make this clear. Your mind is a tool, not a master. It's meant to serve you, not control you. You have a choice, either take control of it, or it will continue to control you. The difference between thinking and control. Thinking is automatic. Control is intentional. Every second, thousands of thoughts flash through your head. You can't stop them, but you can decide which ones deserve your attention. Most people never make that decision. They let every thought dictate their mood, their confidence, their actions. They wake up and say, I feel tired, so they move slow. They think, no one respects me, so they withdraw. They hear, what's the point? And they quit. That's not awareness. That's submission. Awareness is when you hear those same thoughts, but you refuse to obey them. You observe them. You detach from them. You say, interesting. My mind is telling me I can't do this. Then you do it anyway. That's the difference between people who win and people who stay stuck. Winners don't have fewer negative thoughts. They just don't serve them. The first step, observe, don't absorb. When you start observing your thoughts, you take your power back. You become the watcher, not the reactor. That's the key. When a negative thought enters, don't wrestle with it. Don't argue with it. Just notice it. Let it come and let it pass. Imagine your thoughts as clouds drifting across the sky. Some dark, some light. None of them stay forever. You're not the cloud, you're the sky. You are the awareness behind the storm. So when fear hits, breathe. When doubt speaks, stay silent. When insecurity rises, don't feed it with attention. Because what you feed grows. And what you ignore dies. Every time you choose not to engage, you build control. You train your mind to obey you, not the other way around. The cost of mental weakness. Let's talk about what happens when you don't do this. When you let your thoughts run wild, they consume your energy. You burn out from your own imagination. You drain your strength fighting invisible battles inside your head. You lose sleep replaying conversations that don't matter. You create enemies who don't exist. You feel pain that hasn't even happened yet. That's what mental slavery looks like. You suffer twice, once in your mind and once in reality. And you don't need to live that way. You have a choice. You can stop giving your mind permission to bully you. You can start leading it instead. The reprogramming process. Here's the process. Catch the thought. The moment you feel emotion, pause. Ask yourself, what thought triggered this? Awareness is step 1. Challenge the thought. Don't take it as truth. Ask, is this real or is this fear? 90% of your thoughts are recycled lies. Change the focus. Replace it with action. Do something. Physical movement disrupts mental paralysis. That's how you reprogram your mind. Not by waiting for peace, but by building control through repetition. Every time you interrupt a negative spiral, you weaken its hold. Every time you choose focus over fear, discipline over emotion, you rewire your brain for strength. It's not about feeling better. It's about thinking better. It's not about confidence. It's about control. That's the transformation. Real-world application. You don't train your mind in comfort. You train it in conflict. When someone insults you, pause. Don't react. Breathe. When anxiety hits before a meeting, stop feeding it. Focus on what you can control. When failure shows up, don't spiral. Learn, adjust, execute again. That's mental control in action. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. It's quiet, consistent, invisible work. You train yourself to respond differently until it becomes automatic. That's discipline. That's freedom. The lie of over-identification. You've been taught to find yourself through your thoughts. That's a trap. You are not your anxiety. You are not your fear. You are not your doubt. You're the consciousness behind them. The thoughts are just noise, temporary, random, and often false. So stop identifying with weakness. Stop labeling yourself by what your mind says. You are not broken. You are untrained. And training begins with separation, with seeing your mind for what it is, a tool. When a thought says, "You can't," respond with discipline. When it says, "You'll fail," respond with focus. When it says, "You're not ready," respond with action. That's how control is built. Not in theories, in repetition. The transformation. The moment you stop being a slave to your thoughts, everything changes. Your emotions stabilize. Your focus sharpens. Your confidence grows, not because you eliminated fear, but because you stopped obeying it. You stop chasing peace and start creating it. You stop asking for control and start exercising it. That's the difference between reaction and power. You have to train this daily. Morning to night. Every time your mind drifts into fear or fantasy, pull it back to reality. Say it out loud, "I control my mind." Because you do. And the more you remind yourself, the stronger that truth becomes. Closing thoughts. You were not born weak. You were conditioned to react. But now you know better. You have awareness. You have tools. You have the ability to take command. Remember this, your thoughts are not your masters. They're your messengers. You decide which ones to keep. And once you master that, you master everything. You've broken the chains of mental slavery. You've learned to separate awareness from reaction. You've learned to observe, not obey. You've taken the first step toward true power, control. You've mastered your mind's chaos. Now, it's time to build the strength to sustain it. Next chapter. Discipline is stronger than motivation. Motivation is fragile. It's emotional, fleeting, unreliable. It shows up when things feel easy and disappears the second life gets hard. That's why most people fail. They wait for motivation before they move. They wait to feel ready. They wait for the perfect moment, the right energy, the right mood. But that's weakness disguised as strategy. You don't wait for motivation, you train discipline. Because discipline is what shows up when motivation dies. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs work when they feel like it. Professionals work regardless. You have a choice. You can keep chasing emotional highs, or you can build mental consistency. That's the key. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. Motivation depends on emotion. Discipline depends on identity. When you're motivated, you act because you want to. When you're disciplined, you act because you must. It's who you are. Motivation says, "I'll do it when it feels right." Discipline says, "I'll do it because it's right." That's the mindset of control. And control is what this entire audiobook is about. You can't control motivation. It's chemical. It's temporary. But you can control your choices. You can control your habits. You can control your standard. And that's exactly what discipline is, your standard in motion. The illusion of inspiration. You scroll social media. You see quotes, speeches, success stories. For a moment, you feel unstoppable. Then reality hits. You're tired, you're distracted, and the energy fades. That's motivation. It excites you but doesn't sustain you. Inspiration without discipline is a drug. It gives you a rush and leaves you empty. You don't need inspiration. You need systems. You need habits that function even when you don't feel powerful. You need routines that override emotion. That's how high performers live. They don't chase energy, they build consistency. They wake up when the alarm hits, not when they feel like it. They go to the gym on bad days, not just the good ones. They execute the plan no matter what the mood says. That's what separates the focused from the frustrated. Your mind will always test you. Let me make this clear. Your mind will resist discipline. It will look for shortcuts. It will whisper excuses like poison. It will say, "Take a break, you've done enough." It will say, "You can start tomorrow." It will say, "No one's watching, no one cares." But you're not training for the crowd. You're training for control. Every time you say no to that lazy voice, you get stronger. Every time you act without emotion, you grow sharper. Every time you execute under pressure, you build the mental muscle that separates you from the ordinary. Discipline is a repetition of strength. It's what happens when you keep showing up long after motivation has died. That's how you harden your mind. Real-world application. Let's talk about behavior, not theory. You want to master discipline? Stop relying on how you feel. You don't need to feel ready to start. You don't need perfect conditions to work. You don't need validation to stay consistent. You just need to decide, once, that you'll act regardless of mood. Wake up early, even when you're tired. Finish the task, even when you're bored. Push one more rep, even when it burns. Because that pain, that resistance, that's your mind trying to take control back. And every time you override it, you're teaching it who's in charge. You have to be relentless. You have to be the kind of person who follows through, not because it's easy, but because it's required. It's not about motivation. It's about integrity. It's not about excitement. It's about execution. That's the mindset of control. Discipline creates freedom. People think discipline is restriction. It's not. Discipline is freedom. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from emotional instability. Freedom from procrastination, anxiety, and guilt. When you're disciplined, your mind stops negotiating. You stop wasting energy debating whether you'll do it or not. You just act. That's peace. That's power. You stop asking, do I feel like it? You start saying, it's time to do it. And that shift, that single mental adjustment, changes everything. When you live by discipline, you control your time. You control your habits. You control your results. And when you control your results, you control your life. That's the true reward of discipline. The truth about consistency. The truth is simple. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need to do everything perfectly once. You need to do the right thing repeatedly. That's what builds power. That's what builds trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you prove that you can be counted on. You become reliable to yourself. And that's where confidence is born. Confidence isn't built from motivation. It's built from repetition. It's built from doing what you said you'd do every single day, especially when it's inconvenient. You want to change your life? Start keeping your word, especially when it's uncomfortable. That's the essence of mental toughness. The discipline loop. Here's how it works. Action results, belief, more action. Motivation tries to skip to the belief part first. It says, believe, then act. But discipline reverses it. Act first, the belief will follow. When you act before you feel ready, you prove your mind wrong. You show yourself that you're stronger than your emotions. That's how you earn self-respect. Not by waiting to feel good, but by doing what's right repeatedly. That's how you break the cycle of laziness. That's how you take back control. Remember this. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your standards. And discipline is the standard you set when no one's watching. It's what defines who you are when life gets quiet, hard, and uncertain. Motivation is about excitement. Discipline is about endurance. Motivation burns hot. Discipline burns forever. So stop chasing energy. Build consistency. Stop chasing inspiration. Build identity. You don't need permission. You don't need to wait for the right day. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to decide. Because the moment you decide, truly decide, that you will live by discipline, your life changes. You'll become the kind of person who doesn't quit. The kind of person who commands their mind instead of serving it. The kind of person who no longer waits for perfect conditions, because you create them. That's what discipline gives you. Control. Closing transition. Motivation fades. Discipline remains. That's the foundation of every strong mind. You've learned to act without emotion. You've learned to stay consistent without reward. You've learned to replace excitement with execution. Now let's take it deeper. Because true focus isn't just about effort, it's about mastery. You've built the discipline to move forward. Now let's talk about how to sharpen your focus like a weapon. Focus is your weapon. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not motivation. It's focus, pure, disciplined attention that separates winners from wanderers. And yet, most people live with their minds scattered. 1 minute they're inspired. The next, distracted. They chase 10 things, master none. They scroll, they compare, they drift. You can't build greatness in that state. You can't command your life if you can't command your attention. The truth is simple. If you can't focus, you can't grow. If you can't focus, you can't finish. If you can't focus, you can't win. You have a choice. You can keep letting your attention leak into noise, or you can sharpen it into a weapon. That's the key. The battle for your attention. Every day, your focus is under attack. Companies fight for it. Social media feeds are engineered to steal it. Your phone vibrates like a siren, pulling you away from your purpose. You think you're choosing distraction, but distraction is choosing you. Every notification, every scroll, every meaningless click. It's training your brain to lose focus. You're being programmed to react instead of think, to consume instead of create, to scatter instead of concentrate. If you don't train your focus, the world will train it for you. And you won't like where that leads. A weak focus builds a weak mind. A weak mind builds a weak life. But a strong focus, a warrior's focus, builds clarity, confidence, and control. That's what we're after. What warrior focus means. A warrior doesn't chase every noise on the battlefield. A warrior locks in on the mission. That's how you must operate. You can't fight every battle. You can't react to every opinion. You can't fix every distraction. Your focus is your direction. Where it goes, your life follows. If you focus on weakness, you feel weak. If you focus on pain, you amplify it. If you focus on growth, you evolve. It's not about what happens to you. It's about what you focus on within it. That's the key. You want to win? Stop feeding distractions. Feed focus. The mental workout. You can't expect mental strength without training it. You train focus the same way you train muscle, through resistance. Every time you resist the urge to check your phone, that's a rep. Every time you stay on task when your mind wanders, that's a rep. Every time you push through boredom, fatigue, or noise, that's a rep. That's how warriors are built. Focus is not natural. It's trained. It's not easy. It's earned. You don't need motivation to build focus. You need structure. Here's how you start. Eliminate distractions. Remove the noise before it removes your power. 1 clean workspace. 1 phone check per hour. 1 task at a time. Set tight windows. Give your mind clear boundaries. Tell yourself, for the next 25 minutes, I focus. Nothing else exists. Reward completion. Don't celebrate effort, celebrate results. Each time you complete a focused block, acknowledge it. That's reinforcement. You don't need a miracle. You need a system. You don't need perfection. You need consistency. That's how focus grows. The cost of distraction. Every distraction has a price. And that price is your potential. Each time you break focus, you lose momentum. Each time you chase noise, you lose clarity. Each time you surrender your attention, you surrender your future. People talk about time management. Forget that. You can't manage time, it's constant. You manage focus. The people who get ahead don't have more hours. They have more control. Control over attention. Control over emotion. Control over mind. That's why this book exists, to give you that control back. Focus is a mindset, not a mood. Stop waiting to feel focused. You won't. Focus isn't a mood, it's a decision. It's not about feeling ready. It's about being ready. You don't need the perfect playlist, the perfect energy, or the perfect conditions. You just need the command, focus now. That's how warriors operate. They don't wait for peace to concentrate. They focus in chaos. They focus in pain. They focus in pressure. Because focus isn't about comfort, it's about control. You have a choice. React to everything or control something. That's the difference between noise and power. Real-world behavioral instructions. Here's what focus looks like in real life. You start your day in silence, not on your phone. You write your priorities, not your excuses. You work in blocks, not bursts. You say no more often. You guard your attention like your life depends on it, because it does. When you focus deeply, everything changes. Work becomes easier because you're fully there. Conversations become richer because you're present. Goals become achievable because you're consistent. That's transformation, from chaos to control. The warrior code. Warriors train when no one's watching. They prepare before the battle begins. They master stillness so they can move with precision. That's how you must live. When your mind drifts, bring it back. When distractions call, ignore them. When the urge to quit rises, lock in harder. You are building a habit, the habit of concentration. And once it's strong, you'll see how much power you've been wasting. Because focus multiplies everything. Effort, progress. All of it grows under focused intensity. A scattered mind is weak. A focused mind is dangerous. That's who you're becoming, dangerous in your focus. You don't need their permission. Let them call you obsessive. Let them call you boring. Let them call you different. You don't need their permission to be disciplined. You don't need validation to stay focused. While they're distracted, you're building. While they're scrolling, you're sharpening. While they're chasing dopamine, you're creating direction. You're not here to impress the crowd. You're here to control the battlefield of your own mind. That's what a warrior does. The reward of focus. Focus gives you clarity. Clarity gives you peace. Peace gives you power. When you're focused, the world slows down. You start seeing opportunity where others see noise. You stop chasing everything and start mastering one thing. And mastery is freedom. Because when you can direct your focus, you can direct your destiny. That's the power of control. Closing transition. You've trained your focus like a warrior. You've learned how to silence distraction, protect attention, and command your direction. That's mental control in motion. But focus alone isn't enough. Because the next enemy you'll face isn't distraction, it's emotion. You can control your attention. Now you must control your reactions. You've mastered the external battle. Now, let's win the internal one. Next chapter. Emotional control is the ultimate power. You can't win if your emotions control you. You can't lead if your moods lead you. You can't rise if every feeling pulls you down. That's the truth most people never face. They chase motivation. They chase comfort. They chase feelings. But winners? Winners chase control. Because emotional control is the ultimate power. The difference between reaction and response. Most people react. Something happens, they explode. They get criticized, they crumble. They feel fear, they freeze. That's a reactive life. That's weakness disguised as passion. Emotional control means you respond, not react. It means you feel everything, but you choose what deserves your energy. You don't suppress emotions. You master them. You don't fake calm. You choose calm. You don't deny anger. You direct it. That's the difference between chaos and control. That's the key. The truth about emotions. Emotions are signals, not commands. They're information, not instruction. Feeling anger doesn't mean act angry. Feeling fear doesn't mean back down. Feeling doubt doesn't mean stop. You have a choice. That's what emotional control is, the ability to pause before you act. To recognize the feeling but not surrender to it. You can't stop emotions from showing up, but you can stop them from taking over. That's power. The cost of emotional weakness. Let's be real. If your emotions run your day, you'll never run your life. When your mind changes with your mood, consistency dies. When your peace depends on people, freedom disappears. When anger drives your decisions, regret becomes your reward. That's not strength. That's slavery. The world loves emotional people because they're easy to control. They're predictable, manipulatable, exploitable. But the emotionally disciplined? They're dangerous. Because they can't be provoked. They can't be baited. They can't be shaken. That's who you must become, calm under chaos. Unmoved by noise. Grounded in purpose. That's emotional control. You're not your feelings. You're not your anger. You're not your fear. You're not your anxiety. You feel those things, but you're not defined by them. The world tells you, be emotional. Let it out. Be intentional. Control it. That's not suppression, that's strength. That's not coldness, that's mastery. You can't build a disciplined life from emotional chaos. It's not about being numb. It's about being focused. When you control your emotions, you control your results. When you control your reactions, you control your destiny. You don't need their permission to be unbothered. You don't need validation to stay calm. That's your power. The warrior's mind. A warrior feels fear before battle, but fights anyway. A leader feels doubt before decisions, but acts anyway. A creator feels pressure, but performs anyway. That's emotional control in action. You don't eliminate emotion, you direct it toward your mission. When anger shows up, use it as energy. When fear whispers, use it as focus. When pain hits, use it as purpose. Every emotion can serve you, if you control it. That's the key. You have a choice. Be ruled by emotion or rule through emotion. One builds chaos. The other builds champions. Practical control strategies. Control isn't born. It's built. Here's how you build it. Pause before reacting. The moment emotion rises, stop. Breathe. Count to 3. That small pause is the difference between damage and dominance. Detach from outcome. Don't let results control your emotions. Win or lose, stay level. Your job is effort, not emotional drama. Train under pressure. Put yourself in hard situations on purpose. Work when you're tired. Stay calm when provoked. That's how emotional muscle grows, through resistance. Speak less, observe more. Emotion wants to react. Discipline listens. When you stay silent, you stay powerful. These aren't tricks. They're habits. Habits that make you unshakable. The power of detachment. Emotional control is built through detachment. Not from life, but from outcome. When you're detached, nothing owns you. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing rejection. You stop needing approval. That's freedom. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply, but you stay steady no matter what happens. They can insult you, you stay calm. They can doubt you, you stay focused. They can leave you, you stay grounded. That's emotional control. That's real power. The energy shift. You can't control what you feel, but you can control where you channel it. Anger? Channel it into focus. Fear? Channel it into preparation. Pain? Channel it into growth. That's emotional alchemy, turning chaos into clarity. The average person wastes emotional energy on things they can't change. The disciplined person redirects it into things they can. Stop complaining. Start converting. Stop reacting. Start responding. That's how you rise. The price of peace. Peace isn't found. It's created. And emotional control is how you create it. You build peace by refusing to overreact. By refusing to take things personally. By refusing to let your mind become your enemy. The stronger your emotional control, the quieter your mind. And the quieter your mind, the sharper your focus. That's why control is power, not physical, not financial, but internal. You can lose everything and still win if you control your state. Because no one can take what's happening inside you unless you let them. That's your fortress. Protect it. You have a choice. You can live like a puppet, pulled by every emotional string. Or you can cut the strings and lead yourself. You can react to every insult, or rise above it. You can drown in drama, or dominate through discipline. You have a choice. Every single day. And every time you choose control over chaos, you grow stronger. Every time you choose calm over anger, you grow sharper. Every time you choose purpose over pain, you grow unstoppable. That's emotional control. That's power earned, not given. Closing transition. You've learned to train your focus. Now you've mastered your emotions. You're starting to operate from control, not chaos. That's how transformation begins. Inside first, outside second. But control means nothing without consistency. And that's the next battle. You can focus for a day. You can control your emotions for a week. But can you stay consistent when it's boring? When no one's watching? That's what separates the talkers from the doers. You've mastered control. Now, let's master the one thing that keeps every winner on top. Next chapter, The discipline of consistency. Everyone wants success. Few are willing to repeat what works long enough to earn it. That's the truth. The world doesn't reward intensity. It rewards consistency. Anyone can go hard for a day. Anyone can be focused for a week. But the great ones, the disciplined ones, show up every single day. Consistency isn't sexy. It's not loud. It's not glamorous. It's quiet. It's repetitive. It's deliberate. And that's exactly why it works. You have a choice. Do what's easy once, or do what's necessary forever. That's the difference between potential and progress. That's the key. The truth about consistency. Let's get something straight. Consistency isn't about motivation. It's about commitment. Motivation fades. Discipline doesn't. Motivation says, I'll do it when I feel like it. Discipline says, I'll do it whether I feel like it or not. Most people are addicted to bursts of effort. They chase the rush of starting. They love the energy of day one. But day one doesn't change your life. Day 100 does. You don't need a perfect plan. You need consistent action. You don't need inspiration. You need repetition. That's the foundation of mastery. That's how you build a life that lasts. Consistency builds identity. Here's what most people miss. Consistency isn't just about habits. It's about identity. Every time you show up, you tell your mind who you are. Every repetition rewires your belief. When you keep promises to yourself, you build self-respect. When you break them, you destroy it. You can't lie to yourself and expect to feel strong. You can't skip the work and expect to feel confident. Confidence is not built in your head. It's built through your habits. You don't need their permission to stay consistent. You don't need applause. You just need to keep going when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's quiet. That's the real grind. That's the discipline most people will never master. The enemy, emotional decision-making. You want to know why people fail? Because they let emotions decide their effort. They work hard when they feel good. They stop when they feel tired. They quit when it gets uncomfortable. But emotion is temporary. Consistency is permanent. You can't build success on mood swings. You build it on systems, not feelings. Stop waiting to feel ready. Start acting like the person you want to become. You have a choice. You can let feelings run your schedule, or your schedule can run your feelings. That's power. That's discipline. That's control. The 1% rule. Consistency isn't about doing everything at once. It's about doing something every day. The greatest progress doesn't come from massive leaps. It comes from small steps, repeated relentlessly. Improve by 1% each day. Train 1% harder. Focus 1% longer. Commit 1% deeper. 1% doesn't look like much. But over time, it becomes unstoppable momentum. Because repetition compounds. Habits stack. Discipline multiplies. That's how ordinary people create extraordinary results. Not through intensity, but through consistency. That's the key. The rut is the real test. Everyone loves the start. Few survive the middle. The middle is the rut. It's where excitement dies and doubt begins. That's where most people quit. Not because they can't succeed, but because they get bored. Consistency demands patience. Progress moves slower than your ego likes. But that's the test. The rut is where discipline replaces emotion. The rut is where greatness begins. You don't need results to stay consistent. You need faith in the process. You're planting seeds, not picking fruit. And that takes time. The harvest doesn't come to the impatient. It comes to the disciplined. Real-world behavior, how to stay consistent. Set a non-negotiable routine. Don't ask yourself if you feel like it. Make the decision once. Then repeat it forever. Remove decision fatigue. Simplify your environment. Prepare your clothes, your meals, your priorities. The fewer choices you make, the stronger your consistency becomes. Track progress, not perfection. You won't always hit the mark. That's okay. What matters is that you show up. Consistency forgives mistakes. Quitting doesn't. Anchor to purpose. Remind yourself why you started. Without purpose, consistency feels like punishment. With purpose, it feels like power. That's how you stay consistent when motivation dies, because it will die. But your discipline doesn't have to. The real reward. Consistency doesn't just create results. It creates peace. When you're consistent, you eliminate doubt. You stop wondering who you could be, because you're becoming it. There's a calm that comes from knowing you'll show up no matter what. That's freedom. That's confidence. That's maturity. Consistency is self-respect in action. It's proof you can trust yourself. You can't fake that. You have to earn it. And once you do, no setback can shake you. Because you've already proven to yourself that you don't quit. That's the ultimate win. When you don't see results. This is where most people break. They say, I've been doing this for weeks. Nothing's changing. They expect results overnight. But progress hides in silence. It's invisible until it's not. Your growth doesn't announce itself. It builds quietly behind the scenes. So keep going. Keep working when no one's watching. Keep showing up when no one claps. That's where the real transformation happens, in the unseen. You're not just building habits. You're building you. It's a choice. Every day, you have two choices. Stay consistent or start over. Every time you skip the work, you reset the clock. Every time you push through, you move forward. It's that simple. Discipline doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for persistence. You have to be stronger than your excuses. You have to be more loyal to your vision than your feelings. That's how winners are made. Consistency beats talent. Consistency beats luck. Consistency beats everything. That's the truth no one wants to hear, because it demands accountability. But you're not average. You're not here for comfort. You're here for mastery. And mastery requires repetition. Closing transition. You've learned how to control your emotions. Now you've learned to control your actions. You've proven that consistency is stronger than motivation, and discipline is stronger than mood. But there's one more test. Because even with consistency, even with focus, you'll face resistance. Not from the world, but from within. The next battle isn't about what you do. It's about what you think. It's about silencing the noise in your own mind. You've built consistency in action. Now it's time to build consistency in thought. Next chapter, master your inner dialogue. The loudest voice you'll ever hear isn't from the world. It's from your own mind. It's the voice that whispers when no one's around. The one that questions you, doubts you, judges you. The one that either builds you or breaks you. And here's the truth most people never face. You can't master your life until you master your inner dialogue. Because your mind is always talking. It's either feeding your power or your fear. It's either your greatest ally or your deadliest enemy. You have a choice. You can let that voice control you. Or you can train it to serve you. That's the key. The war inside your head. There's a war going on inside your mind. Two voices fighting for control. One says, you're not enough. The other says, keep going. One says, you can't handle this. The other says, you've handled worse. One says, it's too late. The other says, it's never too late if you don't quit. Which one wins? The one you feed. Most people feed the wrong voice. They feed fear with attention. They feed doubt with overthinking. They feed insecurity with comparison. And then they wonder why they feel weak. You can't let the wrong voice lead your life. You can't build strength on self-sabotage. Your mind obeys what it hears most. So make sure it's hearing the truth, not your excuses. The mind as a trainable muscle. Your inner dialogue is like a muscle. Untrained, it's weak. But trained, it's unstoppable. Every thought you allow is a repetition. Every word you speak to yourself is a rep for strength or weakness. You can't control every thought that enters. But you can control which ones stay. When a negative thought comes in, don't argue with it. Replace it. Say it out loud if you have to. I'm in control. I've done hard things before. I'm not stopping here. That's not ego. That's mental armor. Your brain listens when you speak with certainty. It responds to authority. So talk to yourself like a leader, not a victim. You don't need their permission to believe in yourself. You just need consistency in the voice you choose to amplify. The power of self-command. Stop waiting for motivation to tell you what to do. Start commanding yourself. Motivation asks. Command demands. You can't hope your mind will cooperate. You must train it to obey. When your mind says, I'm tired, you answer, we're not done. When it says, I can't, you reply, watch me. When it says, this is too much, you remind it, so was yesterday and I made it through. That's self-command. Every time you refuse to surrender to the voice of weakness, you strengthen the voice of discipline. And that voice, the disciplined one, eventually becomes your default. That's the key. You have to talk yourself into strength more often than you talk yourself into fear. The danger of unchecked thoughts. Most people let their thoughts wander unchecked. They don't guard their minds, they leave the gate open. And when you leave the gate open, negativity walks right in. A single unchecked thought can ruin a day. A single unchecked belief can ruin a life. You must become a gatekeeper. You must question every thought that doesn't serve your purpose. When a thought says, I'm not good enough, ask, says who? When it says, I'll never make it, ask, according to what evidence? When it says, I should quit, ask, or should I grow? That's mental discipline. That's how you take control of the conversation inside your head. You can't stop the thoughts from coming, but you can stop them from controlling the narrative. You have a choice. Reprogramming the loop. Every day your mind runs the same loop. Same stories. Same fears. Same limitations. You can't escape it by ignoring it, you have to rewrite it. Start by catching the loop. Then question it. Then replace it. Example. I always mess up becomes, I'm learning to get it right. I'll never be disciplined becomes, I'm building discipline daily. I can't focus becomes, I train focus like a muscle. That's not pretending, it's programming. You're reconditioning your brain for resilience. Because your inner dialogue shapes your identity. And your identity shapes your actions. If you think like a victim, you act like one. If you think like a leader, you move like one. That's the difference between control and chaos. Silencing the negative narrator. Sometimes mastering your inner dialogue means silence. You don't always need to argue with your mind. You just need to observe it, without reacting. That's emotional control in motion. When the mind throws negativity at you, breathe. Don't attach to it. Don't identify with it. You're not your thoughts, you're the awareness behind them. The more you can sit with uncomfortable thoughts without reacting, the less power they have over you. That's what monks train. That's what warriors master. Stillness under mental pressure. It's not about avoiding noise. It's about not letting noise disturb your clarity. That's the discipline that separates peace from panic. Building your mental script. You need a mental script, a set of truths you repeat daily until they become automatic. Write them. Memorize them. Speak them with conviction. Here's how it sounds. I control my thoughts. I am focused, calm, and disciplined. I finish what I start. I don't react, I respond. I am in command of my mind. Say them daily. Not when you feel strong, but especially when you feel weak. Because repetition is what reprograms your identity. It's what rewires your emotional patterns. You can't talk yourself into weakness if you keep talking yourself into strength. That's the principle. That's the practice. Real-world application, mental reps. Want to master your inner dialogue? Start with this 3-step process. Awareness. Catch yourself when your thoughts turn negative. Label it. That's self-doubt. That's fear. That's resistance. Awareness breaks the pattern. Replacement. Immediately replace it with a truth-based affirmation. Not wishful thinking, truth. I can handle this. I've done harder things. Repetition. Repeat the new statement until it feels natural. That's how you overwrite the old programming. This isn't magic. It's mental conditioning. The same way your body adapts to stress, your mind adapts to repetition. That's how mastery is built, from the inside out. The voice that wins. The voice you train becomes the voice that leads. If you train doubt, doubt will lead. If you train fear, fear will lead. But if you train discipline, discipline will lead. That's your mission. Train your mind to sound like your purpose, not your pain. You don't need to be positive all the time. You just need to be intentional all the time. You can't control the world, but you can control the world inside you. That's real power. Closing transition. You've learned to control your emotions. You've learned to stay consistent. And now, you're learning to lead your own mind. But mastering your inner dialogue is just one part of mental toughness. Because even when your mind is strong, the world will still test you. Distractions, doubts, drama, noise. The next chapter is about protecting your peace in the middle of all that noise. It's about building unshakable focus in a world that wants to steal it. You've mastered the voice within. Now, it's time to master your attention. Next chapter, guard your focus like your life depends on it. Focus is the modern superpower. In a world built on distraction, the ability to focus is what separates the average from the elite. You don't need more time. You need more focus. You don't need another plan. You need to stay locked in long enough to finish the one you already have. That's the truth. That's the key. The world is designed to break your concentration. Every ping, every meaningless argument. They all have one goal, to steal your attention. And if they can steal your attention, they can steal your potential. So here's the reality. If you don't guard your focus, you'll lose your future. Distraction is the new enemy. You think your enemy is laziness. It's not. It's distraction disguised as importance. You think scrolling for 5 minutes doesn't matter. But it's not 5 minutes. It's your momentum. It's your energy. It's your edge. Distraction drains the sharpness from your mind. It pulls you away from purpose and drowns you in noise. That's the trap. Every moment you give to distraction, you trade for a moment of progress you'll never get back. You have a choice. Stay focused or stay stuck. That's the difference. The cost of divided attention. When you lose focus, you lose direction. You start drifting. You don't even notice it at first. You're just checking something real quick. You're taking a short break. But slowly your clarity fades. One distraction turns into 10. 10 turns into a wasted day. And before you know it, you've built a habit of chaos. You can't build a powerful life with a scattered mind. You can't build momentum with a fractured attention span. Every time you switch focus, your brain burns energy to restart. You're paying a mental tax you don't even realize you're paying. That's why your energy feels low. That's why your motivation disappears. You're leaking power through every distraction you allow. Guard your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. The discipline of focus. Focus isn't something you find. It's something you protect. It's not about having perfect conditions. It's about building perfect discipline. You don't wait for focus, you create it through structure. Here's the truth. If you don't have a schedule, distractions will schedule you. That's why discipline and focus are twins. You can't have one without the other. Wake up with intent. Start your day with clarity. Decide, before the world decides for you, what deserves your attention. That's the move. That's the power. You don't need motivation to stay focused. You need boundaries. Building a focus-fortified environment. Your environment either supports your focus or sabotages it. There's no neutral ground. If your phone is in your hand, your mind is not in your mission. If your space is cluttered, your thoughts are cluttered. If your surroundings are chaotic, your results will be too. Here's what to do. Remove friction. Anything that pulls your attention away from the task, get rid of it. Out of sight, out of mind is not a quote. It's a strategy. Design your space for work. Clean desk. Silent phone. One goal in front of you. Create an environment that makes focus the default, not the exception. Set digital boundaries. Airplane mode isn't just for flights, it's for life. Turn off notifications. Log out when you work. Be unavailable to the world when you're available to your goals. That's not antisocial. That's elite discipline. You don't owe your attention to everyone who asks for it. You owe it to your mission. Mental focus is mental strength. Focus is more than attention, it's emotional control. When you can't focus, it's not because your brain is broken. It's because your emotions are leading. You're reacting to everything. Messages, moods, impulses. You're letting your emotions decide what deserves your energy. You have to reverse that. You decide what matters. You decide where your energy goes. Every time you resist the urge to check, scroll, or wander, you build mental strength. Every time you stay locked in, you strengthen your emotional control. Focus and emotional control are the same muscle. Train one, and you strengthen both. That's the key. The myth of multitasking. Stop trying to do everything at once. Multitasking is just task switching with extra stress. You can't chase two targets and hit either one. You can't serve your vision while serving your distractions. One goal, one mission, one focus. You don't need more hours, you need fewer leaks. Every great achievement in history was built by focus. One idea, one obsession, one relentless pursuit. You want to win? Simplify. Strip away the noise. Say no to almost everything so you can say yes to what actually matters. That's how you separate yourself from the masses. That's how you build momentum the average person never touches. The habit of laser focus. Focus is not an event, it's a habit. You train it daily. Start small. 15 minutes of pure, undistracted work. No phone. No tabs. No interruptions. Then stretch it. 30 minutes. 60 minutes. 90 minutes of complete immersion. Every session, you're rewiring your brain to go deeper, longer, stronger. That's how pros train. That's how champions think. You don't get focused by accident, you get focused by training. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. You can't drift into greatness. You have to direct your mind toward it every single day. What you must stop doing. If you want to guard your focus, stop these 3 habits immediately. Stop starting your day with distraction. The first 30 minutes of your day set your mental tone. No scrolling. No noise. No reacting. Own your morning. Own your mind. Stop giving everyone access to your time. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every opinion deserves a reaction. Protect your mental space like it's sacred, because it is. Stop lying to yourself about just 5 minutes. You know it's never 5 minutes. It's a mental spiral that eats your focus alive. Choose awareness over autopilot. Every time. That's the difference between staying busy and staying powerful. Focus is freedom. When you learn to guard your focus, you regain your life. Because focus is freedom. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from noise. Freedom from being pulled in every direction but forward. Most people never feel that freedom because they're addicted to distraction. They crave stimulation more than success. But you're different. You're not here to be entertained, you're here to evolve. You're not chasing dopamine, you're chasing dominance. And dominance requires direction. That direction comes from focus. You don't need to do more. You just need to lock in on less, and do it better than anyone else. That's the path. That's how you win. Closing transition. You've learned to master your inner voice. You've learned to protect your focus. And now, it's time to talk about energy. Because focus without energy is burnout. Discipline without recovery is collapse. The next chapter is about mastering the fuel that drives it all. Your energy, your momentum, your fire. You've guarded your mind. Now, you'll learn how to recharge it. Next chapter, protect your energy like a sacred weapon. Your energy is your life force. It's the fuel behind your focus, your discipline, your drive. Lose it, and you lose everything. That's the truth. You can have the best plan in the world, but if you're drained, it won't matter. You can have talent, vision, purpose, but if your energy is scattered, you'll burn out before you break through. That's the key most people miss. They chase productivity, but ignore protection. They work harder, but leak power from every angle. Listen carefully. You don't need more time. You need to stop wasting the energy you already have. Energy is your real currency. Every day you spend energy like money. You spend it on people, on tasks, on thoughts, on emotions. And most people are broke. Not financially, energetically. They give their power to everything that doesn't deserve it. Arguing online. Worrying about things they can't control. Trying to impress people who don't even notice. That's energy poverty. You wake up tired because you've been spending your power on noise. You have to start budgeting your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Ask yourself daily, does this feed me or drain me? Does this make me stronger or weaker? Does this move me forward or pull me down? That's your filter. That's your defense system. Energy doesn't just disappear, it gets stolen. And you're the one handing out the keys. The invisible leaks. Most people don't even realize where their energy goes. It's not the big things, it's the small leaks. It's the gossip you entertain, the comparison you indulge, the mental replays of what went wrong yesterday. Every one of those takes a piece of you, bit by bit, thought by thought. You can't build an unshakable mind while you keep feeding your focus to garbage. You can't train like a warrior if your energy is being drained by emotional noise. Stop letting everything have access to your power. You don't need to respond to every message. You don't need to fix every problem. You don't need to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. That's the trap. That's the leak. You can't move forward if you're constantly being pulled backward. You have a choice. You either protect your energy or you let the world use it for you. Boundaries are your shield. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're strategic. When you protect your time, your attention, your emotions, you're not pushing people away. You're pulling your power back. Say no more often. Say it without guilt. Because every yes to something meaningless is a no to your mission. That's the key. Guard your energy with the same intensity you guard your dreams. You don't need to prove you care by draining yourself. You don't need to explain your peace. You don't need to apologize for needing space to recharge. Strong people don't overextend. They protect. They conserve. They prioritize. Because they understand, every ounce of energy wasted is potential lost. Boundaries are not walls. They're gates, controlled, selective, intentional. You decide who gets in. You decide what gets in. You decide how much access people and problems get to your inner world. That's real power. Guard your mental energy. Physical exhaustion is easy to notice. Mental exhaustion is sneaky. It creeps in through overthinking. It drains you through emotional noise. It burns you out through constant mental chatter. You've got to learn how to silence that noise. When your mind starts spinning stories, pause. When your emotions flare, breathe. When your thoughts start pulling you down, refocus. You can't fight the outside world if you're losing the war inside your head. Mental energy is your command center. Keep it clear. Keep it calm. Keep it sharp. And remember this. Most things don't deserve a reaction. They deserve your silence. You protect your energy by choosing peace over proving, stillness over stimulation, intention over impulse. You don't have to attend every battle you're invited to. That's the discipline of control. Physical energy feeds mental power. Your mind can't run on an exhausted body. Discipline isn't just mental, it's physical. You can't demand focus if you don't fuel yourself right. Sleep is sacred. Movement is non-negotiable. Nutrition is fuel, not entertainment. That's not self-care. That's self-respect. Your body is the container for your purpose. If it breaks down, your mission does too. So protect it. No one can give you more energy than the one you build for yourself through consistent care. The elite treat recovery as training. They rest with the same discipline they work with. That's the secret most people never learn. Your energy doesn't rise from effort, it rises from balance. Work hard. Recover harder. That's how you sustain long-term greatness. Emotional energy is your fire. Emotions are energy in motion. And if you don't control them, they'll control you. Don't waste your emotional fire on things that don't grow you. Don't pour your intensity into arguments, drama, or doubt. Save it for your goals. Save it for your growth. Save it for the moments that matter. Every emotion has power. Anger can fuel discipline. Frustration can fuel clarity. Sadness can deepen your focus. But only if you channel it. Don't let your emotions spill everywhere. Direct them like a laser, not a flood. That's how you transform chaos into strength. That's how you protect your sacred weapon, your energy. The art of recharging. You can't pour from an empty cup. And yet, that's what most people try to do. Rest isn't weakness. It's maintenance. Take solitude seriously. You can't grow in noise. You can't recharge while scrolling. Find stillness. Protect it. Practice it. Meditate. Reflect. Walk without your phone. Sit in silence until your thoughts slow down enough for you to hear your own voice again. That's not wasting time, that's sharpening your blade. You don't need constant motion. You need intentional energy. Stop letting people drain you. Let's be honest. Some people are batteries and some are black holes. Some lift you, others drain you. You know exactly who they are. You feel it. When you walk away from certain conversations, you feel lighter. From others, you feel exhausted. That's not coincidence. That's energy exchange. Protect yourself from emotional vampires. You're not obligated to carry their chaos. Be kind, but stay guarded. Be compassionate, but stay aware. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. And you can't stay strong if you're constantly giving your energy to people who refuse to change. Choose peace over people-pleasing. That's not cold, it's clarity. You have a mission to fulfill. Not everyone deserves a seat next to your purpose. Energy is sacred. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to your growth. Every time you allow negativity in, you're giving away a piece of your power. You can't control the world, but you can control what you allow inside. That's where strength begins. That's where mastery starts. Guard your energy like a sacred weapon, because it is. It's your sword, your shield, your source. The world will always try to pull from it. But the disciplined, the focused, the self-controlled, they protect it, they preserve it, they multiply it. That's what separates the weak from the unstoppable. You don't need more motivation. You need more protection. Because when your energy is pure, your mind is clear. And when your mind is clear, nothing can touch you. You've learned to protect your energy. Now it's time to master your time. In the next chapter, you'll learn how to take. Now, let's build precision. Next chapter, control your time before it controls you. You think you have time, but time has you. Every second that passes, you're trading your life for something. The question is, what are you trading it for? That's the truth people avoid. They act like time is infinite. They waste their mornings. They drift through their afternoons. They scroll through their nights. And then they complain that life isn't moving. Let me say this clearly, your life is not short, you're just wasting it. You have 24 hours, the same 24 that every winner, every millionaire, every legend gets. The difference is not time. The difference is control. If you don't control your time will control you. That's the key. The price of wasted hours. Time doesn't shout when it leaves. It slips away quietly. You don't notice until it's gone. And once it's gone forever. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose people and rebuild relationships. But when you lose time, it never returns. Every hour you waste is a silent thief. Every distraction is a debt you'll pay later. Every excuse is a wound you'll carry into tomorrow. Ask yourself, what if every hour had a price tag? Would you still waste it so easily? Because it does. That hour you spent scrolling could have been the hour that changed your future. That hour you spent complaining could have been the hour you started creating. You have a choice. That's the key. The world is designed to steal your time. Understand this. The system wants your attention. Apps, ads, notifications, they're engineered to hijack your mind. They feed you dopamine so you'll keep scrolling, keep clicking, keep wasting. But here's the truth. They can't steal what you refuse to give. You don't have to answer every text. You don't have to check every ping. You don't have to scroll through other people's highlight reels. You don't need their permission to log off. You can reclaim your time. You can reclaim your focus. But first, you have to wake up to how much you're losing. Most people won't do that. They'll stay trapped because it's comfortable. It's easier to say, I didn't have time, than to admit, I didn't use it. The discipline of ownership. Here's the truth. Your time is your responsibility. No one's coming to manage it for you. No one's coming to organize your schedule. You are the CEO of your hours. Treat your time like a company, because it is. Every minute is an employee. If you don't give it a job, it'll waste resources. That's why you need structure. Not random to-do lists, structure. Here's a simple rule. Plan. Execute. Review. At night, plan your next day. In the morning, execute that plan. At night again, review what worked and what didn't. That's how you build momentum. That's how you build discipline. You don't need a fancy system. You need consistency. It's not about perfection, it's about ownership. The difference between busy and productive. Being busy feels good. It feels like progress. But let's be honest, most busy people are just avoiding what matters. Busyness is a mask for procrastination. It keeps you in motion, but not in direction. You can be busy all day and still get nowhere. You can be productive for 2 focused hours and move mountains. That's the difference. Productive people protect their time. Busy people waste it trying to please everyone. You don't have to be available to everyone. You don't have to say yes to everything. Every yes is a no to something else. Say yes to your growth. Say no to your distractions. You have a choice. That's the key. Build your time boundaries. Here's the truth. People will waste your time if you let them. They'll call you with drama. They'll text you about nonsense. They'll pull you into their chaos. You can't control them, but you can control your boundaries. Protect your mornings. They set the tone for the day. Protect your focus blocks. They build your future. Protect your rest. It restores your energy. Don't let anyone invade that. And if they call you rude, so be it. You're not rude. You're focused. It's not about being cold. It's about being clear. You know your mission. You know your goals. You're not wasting hours proving your worth to people who don't respect your time. Action steps. How to control your time. Let's get practical. Here's what you do starting today. Track your hours. For 1 week, write down how you spend every hour. Be honest. You'll be shocked by how much time disappears into distractions. Awareness is power. Eliminate time killers. Identify the top 3 things that waste your hours. Social media? TV? Negative people? Cut them down by 50% this week. Replace that time with something that builds you. Use the power hour. Every morning, spend 1 hour on the most important thing in your life before checking your phone. That one focused hour will separate you from 99% of people. End your day with review. Ask yourself, did I control my time or did it control me? If the answer is no, fix it tomorrow. You're building discipline, not chasing perfection. That's how you regain control. Step by step. Hour by hour. The mindset shift. Here's the truth. You don't find time. You make it. You make time for what matters. You make time for your goals. You make time for your growth. And if you're not making time, it doesn't matter to you as much as you say it does. That's the reality check most people need. Stop saying, I don't have time. Start saying, it's not a priority. Then see how that feels. You'll either change your words or change your behavior. That's the power of honesty. The cost of control. When you start protecting your time, people will notice. Some will respect it. Others will resent it. That's okay. Because this isn't about them, it's about you. You can't build your future while babysitting everyone else's comfort. You can't reach greatness while answering every ping, every call, every favor. You have to make peace with being misunderstood. You have to be okay with people thinking you changed, because you did. It's not about arrogance. It's about alignment. You're not chasing approval. You're chasing growth. Closing transition. Remember this truth. You don't lose control of your life all at once. You lose it 1 wasted minute at a time. So take it back. Take your time back. Take your power back. You have a choice. Use it wisely. You've learned to control your time before it controls you. But time control is only the surface. The deeper mastery is emotional control. Because even when your schedule is perfect, your emotions can still sabotage everything. So now let's go deeper. You mastered your hours. Now master your reactions. Emotional discipline, the art of staying unshaken. They can take your job. They can talk behind your back. They can test your limits. But if they can't shake your emotions, they can't control you. That's the truth. The world doesn't destroy the strongest. It destroys the most reactive. You're not losing because you're weak. You're losing because you react too fast. Every time you explode, panic, overthink, or spiral, you hand your power away. You let someone else decide how you feel. You let someone else drive your state. And that's the trap. Because if they control your emotions, they control your energy. And if they control your energy, they control your life. So, listen carefully. Emotional discipline is the ultimate power. The difference between emotions and control. Emotions are natural. Control is intentional. You can't stop emotions from coming, but you can decide what to do when they arrive. Anger comes. Fear comes. Doubt comes. That's human. But reacting without awareness, that's weakness. The key is this: feel everything but act on nothing until you decide. You have a choice. That's the power you've been missing. Don't suppress emotions, observe them. Name them. I feel angry. I feel afraid. I feel insecure. The moment you name it, you separate yourself from it. You are not your emotion. You are the observer behind it. That's the key. The cost of reactivity. Reactivity destroys potential. It kills relationships. It ruins progress. It sabotages growth. Think about it. How many opportunities have you lost because you couldn't stay calm? How many times did you say something in anger you later regretted? How many good days turned bad because you let one bad moment hijack your mood? That's the cost. Every emotional outburst is a withdrawal from your mental bank account. And when that account is empty, your focus collapses. Reactivity feels powerful. It's not. It's weakness disguised as intensity. You think you're defending yourself, but really you're losing control. You're letting the outside world play you like a puppet. You have to decide, will you live by impulse or by intention? Because one leads to chaos. The other leads to mastery. The power of the pause. Let's talk about one of the most powerful disciplines in existence. The pause. When you feel triggered, pause. When you feel attacked, pause. When you feel emotional, pause. The pause is not weakness. It's warfare. It's how you interrupt the cycle of reaction and regain control of your state. Take a breath. Count to 5. Ask yourself, what outcome do I want here? That moment of awareness changes everything. It gives your logical mind time to step in before emotion takes the wheel. Remember this line: you can't control what happens, but you can control what happens next. That's the art of staying unshaken. How to train emotional discipline. Discipline is built in discomfort. You don't develop emotional control when everything is calm. You develop it when everything is chaotic, and you stay centered anyway. Here's how to train it. Expose yourself to discomfort. Don't avoid stressful situations. Practice control inside them. That's how you condition yourself to stay calm under pressure. Detach from outcomes. You don't control people. You control effort. Do your best and release the rest. That's emotional freedom. Practice response over reaction. Every day, catch yourself before you react. Ask, is this response helping me or hurting me? If it's hurting you, stop. Walk away. That's growth. The more you do this, the more you rewire your nervous system. You become calmer, sharper, stronger. That's how warriors are made, through control, not chaos. It's not about being cold. People will tell you you've changed. They'll say you're cold, distant, or detached. Ignore that. You're not cold, you're composed. You're not distant, you're disciplined. You're not detached, you're decisive. They're used to you being emotionally available for every drama. Now you're no longer reacting, and it threatens them. Let them talk. You don't need their permission to evolve. You don't need validation to be stable. The goal isn't to stop feeling. It's to stop bleeding energy every time something goes wrong. That's the power of emotional discipline. You become a fortress in a world built on chaos. Real-world application. Let's get real. Here's how emotional control changes your life. In relationships, you stop arguing to win. You start listening to understand. That's how respect grows. In business, you stop making emotional decisions. You operate on logic, not impulse. That's how wealth is built. In self-growth, you stop quitting when it feels hard. You push through the emotional storms because you understand, storms pass, but consistency compounds. It's not about being robotic. It's about being resilient. You still feel everything. You just don't let it destroy your focus. That's emotional maturity. That's mastery. The daily practice of calm. Here's what I want you to do every day. Morning calibration. Before the world gets loud, get silent. Breathe. Set an intention. No one and nothing will pull me out of peace today. That single line can anchor your entire day. Midday reset. When you feel your emotions rise, stop and breathe again. Remind yourself, I choose my response. That pause saves you from regret. Evening reflection. Ask yourself, where did I lose control today? Not to judge, but to learn. Every reflection is another brick in the wall of emotional strength. Discipline is built daily. Not in theory, but in repetition. That's the key. The freedom of control. Here's the truth. Emotional control doesn't make you less human. It makes you unstoppable. When you stop being reactive, you stop being predictable. When you stop being predictable, you become powerful. Because no one can manipulate what they can't move. The world loses its grip on you. And for the first time, you feel peace. Real peace isn't the absence of chaos. It's the ability to stay calm in the middle of it. That's what emotional discipline gives you. Power, freedom, stability. You become the eye of the storm, still, focused, untouchable. Closing transition. Remember this truth. You don't need to control everything around you. You just need to control what's inside you. You have a choice. You always have a choice. That's the art of staying unshaken. That's the essence of emotional power. You mastered your emotions. Now it's time to master your environment. Because even the most disciplined mind needs silence to grow, focus to expand, and solitude to reset. So let's take it there. You've learned emotional control. Now, let's talk about the power that comes from stillness. Chapter 10. The Discipline of Silence, where strength is reborn.